Buy one, get one, price tag on the low low. And the rolling in my stolen Honda photo. And please don't take my photo. Hey, I'm sitting out here like a cholo.
Belarus says that it has discovered weapons for T attacks. The Belarusian president, Alexander Lukashenko, said that on Tuesday that his country's security forces have discovered an arsenal of weapons intended for a T attack 2 days after they had perished forcefully a T suspect. And again, I will show you that right on screen because that's a big one, near the Polish border. Near the Polish border. That's probably an important part here coming up. It says a reported discovery followed Belarus's perishing on Sunday in the city of Grodno, just east of the Polish border, of a foreigner who allegedly was planning a T attack. And anytime I say T attack, that's this, okay? Just so everybody's on the same page. The Belarusian KGB security agency said that the alleged terrorist was killed in a shootout. Belarusian television reported Tuesday that a forged passport in the name of a Russian citizen was found on the body. The special services have worked brilliantly, Lukashenko said Tuesday in the Belarusian capital, Minsk. A whole arsenal of weapons and explosives were confiscated, intended for high-profile T attacks against citizens and government officials. So you know that there's a lot going on, but of course that country most definitely has some kind of iffy things going on. We'll talk about this and all of the other current events, including what is going on in the UK on April 23rd, a nationwide test of the emergency services. We'll talk about that as well and everything else happening right when we come back. We'll be right back with Marfoogle News. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, and it does seem like we have some new people here. Someone says, why are you censoring that word? Why are you censoring yourself? You can say that. So first of all, I actually lost some friends on YouTube just this week, and they cover the same things I do. So we don't have a multi-channel network protecting us and able to call up YouTube if there's a mistake in the algorithm. The algorithm is a computer, and that word is one of the biggest filter words out there. On top of just YouTube looking for it, all of the major three-letter agencies look for it too. And there are mistakes made on a daily basis. And when you don't have a multi-channel network or some organization that backs you up, then you're just screwed. We're already covering controversial topics. Just so you know, we lost Paul and Adrian this week. We've lost many people. And usually, if they do get back on, that means they usually had some sort of multi-channel network that had representation and somebody to, call them up and say, hey, there was a mistake here. But some of them waited 6 months even with representation. So yeah, rather be safe than sorry. If you are going into an info war battle, then you shouldn't wear a bright orange vest. You should probably wear camo, and that's exactly what we do, and that's why we've survived for 5 years. We try to make sure that we know what the heck we're doing before we do it. So again, our way has, worked so far, knock on wood, but again, we're still here, and we're able to communicate what exactly we're saying. Everybody knows what we're saying, and again, it's something that you guys get what we're saying. For the folks that are deaf, that is what we have to try to figure out though, because they cannot see what I'm highlighting on the screen. but normally we can put notes afterwards. So if you're new here, remember you can always go over to marfooglenews.com and you can find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document there. And when you do, you'll see that if it's very easy to navigate, you can just go look for today's thumbnail, preparing for what's next, and the next stage, phones nationwide. When you get there, you'll see every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that is there. And then also you will find a whole lot more. There is overflow/web content. There is a lot of really crazy things going on right now in the political sessions right there. So make sure to go check that out as well. And then let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So also, the more people that, the more that you understand how this system works, they have rated channels and they don't let the creator actually see those ratings. It's called a P-score. You can look that up. Nerd City did a great video on it. But yeah, there's things that I guess regular people, they're frustrated by it, and I get it. I understand it. But they think it's for the wrong reasons. It's actually because it's really frustrating that I think notifications go out, more or less based on how good you are. But again, hopefully you guys are signing up for our notifications. You can go over to marfooglenews.com. And you can, of course, sign up for email notifications from us, and you can also sign up and ring that bell on our website. That will actually allow you to be notified the second we go live. That notification goes out literally right before we hit the live button. So if you don't want to hang out and chat for 15 minutes before the show, if you are subscribed to that is activated when we go live, and then we send that out right before. So make sure to go check that out and sign up for it. That will also be a good way, if anything happens, we can get a hold of you. And then space station discarded some trash. It rained fire in California's sky. And we've got some crazy stuff later. I'll try to give a warning for those that are easily panicked and anxious about what's going on. Jeff Waters and his friends weren't sure what to think of the streaking lights that dashed across the Sacramento night sky late Friday. About 7 meteor-like blazes appeared to dart by around 9:30 p.m., diverting attention from the ongoing St. Patrick's Day rivalry, as evidenced by the videos that Walter took. It looked crazy, Waters said in a written statement to the Times. We thought it was maybe some Starlink or SpaceX thing or something, but it didn't really make sense. Turns out that the spectacle was created by flaming orbital debris re-entering the Earth's atmosphere above Northern California. I know a lot of folks are questioning that, but again, this is what we talked about during the show. There were folks in California saying that they witnessed this in our chat, and there was no verification as of then for us to verify it. Now there is. Dex, so first of all, we had Foogle Fam. Did we ever get videos of this, by the way? Somebody said that they might have a video of it on their ring. I didn't know if we had...
there was a lot of people that saw it. We had heard from a lot of people in chat, and then, that was last Friday. I don't know if we have any video. I haven't seen any.
Okay, we'll have to check. If you do have video of this, send it to us at marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. And if, as you can see, they said it was around 9:30 p.m. So if you have Ring or Nest or any of those kind of cameras on your house, you may have caught it and you don't even know it. So make sure to go check. And apparently there were at least 6 or 7 different streaks, and it looked pretty crazy. It says that we knew this object was going to re-enter sometime this weekend, but we didn't know exactly when, McDowell said, or where for that matter. Orbiting at a speed of 17,000 miles per hour, such space junk is hard to precisely track, he said, which means that pretty regularly this type of debris, the aftermath of launches or left behind from space exploration, will return to the atmosphere in what's known as an uncontrolled re-entry. But he said that the U.S. Space Force does track thousands of such items, so when the dazzling display was spotted Friday in skies from Sacramento to Fresno, he was able to match the event with space debris. The light you're seeing is the kinetic energy being dissipated. It gets so hot that it melts and breaks up. So, do you question that? Let me know in the chat below. Of course, all of this crazy stuff we just covered in the last week, that there was an actual report through the Pentagon in this new, office that they made, talking about how they were questioning. They said a mothership could be sending probes to Earth, and they even mentioned a Oumuamua. Like, this is the kind of stuff that's coming out of the current Pentagon. So who knows what is actually happening right now. And then every phone in the UK will sound an alarm on April 23rd. So this very eerily similar to the presidential alert that we had here in the United States as far as the form and function of it. If you remember, in 2018, November 3rd, in fact, I think it was November 1st or 2nd, I did a video on this, and I said, turn off your phone, November 3rd. And I believe that ended up, it was an insane, I think that was one of my only like million view videos. And that's because I didn't realize that my stupid theory would go anywhere. But it was a day after that presidential alert that Edward Snowden ended up weighing in, or the same day. So he ended up weighing in and saying that he thought that it was upstream surveillance. Upstream surveillance, again, the quote, and I pulled it up here. Let's see here. I think I closed it, but it said the same centralized system that can send everyone something can read anything from anyone. So the same system that can send something out like that can actually also receive signals, or at least that's what he was saying. And he ended up posting an article on upstream surveillance, and it kind of explains it a little bit more. And as far as the presidential alert, it was something that once it happened on all of the phones, you had to press that button. What's crazy is more people with those prepaid phones that are kind of like burner phones, more people with those got the alert than anything else. And my theory was that if you're trying to find out who owns that phone, what better than having a phone beep, 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 and you were required to press that button, look right at the front of it, which 99.9% of the phones now have a camera on the front. And then right when you hit that, it knows you're looking at it, and boom, it takes a picture of the owner of the phone. Of course, our phones have fingerprint sensors, they have facial recognition, they have iris scanners, all for your convenience and your safety. But as you know, came out in 2011 through 13, this whole debacle with the NSA and Snowden, we all know that most of that is being accessed, and basically all of our biometrics, whether you were a criminal or not, have been accessed by all of these crazy agencies. Now, upstream surveillance, if that is the case, that's kind of freaky. So some are suggesting that you may want to turn off your phone. I suggested it on the presidential alert. Again, that was up to you. I turned off my phone during that, but some folks even said that their phone turned back on. I don't know to believe that, but again, now they make it so the battery is actually built in. If you know, with most Apples, even when it dies, it actually has enough power you can keep turning it back on, because it saves enough power to find, the Find My Phone thing. Again, they say that the E91 chip was debunked. That was what McAfee talked about. Again, I haven't seen all of that, but again, most people say that was debunked. But like I said, back to it, it's like, we don't really know what's in these chips. Now they're even questioning if there is backdoors in all of these microchips. So it does say that the UK is testing a new emergency alert system that will see every phone in the country ring out an alarm on April 23rd. The government's new emergency alerts services is designed to warn citizens if their life is at risk. The alert will sound during events such as severe flooding, fire, not, I guess, I don't know if what kind of natural disasters they have over there, most of the same, or terrorist attack. So they threw that out as the three options, right? The UK has performed regional tests of the service over the past year, but now plans to conduct a nationwide test on April 23rd. All compatible phones will sound a siren for 10 seconds and display a warning message until it is dismissed by the user. Again, something you have to clear. And it will stay on your phone all day. People that did the presidential alert, they found it at 9:30 that night, and it was still on there. They had to press that OK button to clear it. It says the government has released a YouTube video revealing what the alert sounds like to hopefully prevent catching people out on the test day. It says the test alert, which will repeatedly be carried out during the evening of April 23rd, could cause disruption in public venues such as theaters, cinemas, and sports stadiums, with potentially hundreds of thousands of mobile phones all sounding the alarm simultaneously. Now, there's another option to this. Say it isn't upstream surveillance. This could be a test because they are preparing for something much, much bigger. They're preparing to tell people about some sort of event moments before it happens. Maybe they suspect that something big is about to go down. Dex, as far as like the UK, the EAS, we follow a lot of the EAS, either false alerts or some of the big ones like this, like the presidential alert. This one in particular is very similar to our presidential alert, which again has been kind of publicized in movies like Greenland as kind of that SHTF kind of alarm. If something really bad happened, they would use this. What do you think about them testing this?
I'm a little shocked that they're just now doing this. Like they just now have a new quote unquote alert system. We've had these digital phones forever. But it's also the timing is also, something to be looked at given the state of things in Europe and the amount of threats that have been lobbed towards UK. So I think, that's probably one of the other things they didn't list in their, severe flooding, fire, or the other types of attacks. They didn't bother mentioning, Vlad. I thought they would have used that as an opportunity to say if Vlad did something to them. But they've certainly, there's certainly the timing makes a lot of sense.
And they're going to do it in the nighttime, in the evening. I think ours was like at noon or 1:30 or something, and many people didn't even get ours. Let us know. I'm gonna find that YouTube video of how it sounds. We can't play it. You cannot play any kind of emergency alert sounds on any kind of video. In fact, I think it's like it's a crime if you replay it exactly how it is. But I definitely want to hear it and hear what it sounds like. What do you guys think it is? Let me know in the comments down below, or let me know in the chat, which, by the way, thank you, Jimmy Wright, 7167, for the super thanks on the last show. And then Kelly, Z3C3D, thank you so much as well for the super thanks on that last show. And Bible Talk 777, thank you for being the last one out on the last show. SFT, thank you for the multiple super stickers there. And then Justin True, thank you for the diamond super sticker there. Carol, thank you. It looks like you guys are having a super sticker fight. Zen1AZ, thank you for the hearts. And Heath Spear, thank you for the cup of coffee. I appreciate that. And Uncommon News 777, Red Maple Grove, Uper Viking, and then of course our great Ilea. Thank you guys for the super chats. Dex, do you want to talk about what the JB administration isn't telling Congress about spy balloons?
So this is a little, I don't say if it's alarming, but it's also a little insightful in the sense that apparently they're saying there's hundreds of these objects floating in our airspace at any given time now. And the real question that they haven't been able to answer or determine is how bad the problem is. In other words, and the problem being how much of those are surveillance tools versus, say, the group doing their weather balloon tests or whatever, the hobby group doing a radio test with a balloon, all those different things that are out there that are normal. But then there's these ones that are potentially our adversaries spying on us. And apparently they've been asking, but nobody has been able to actually come up with a clear picture of just exactly how big this problem is. The fact that there are hundreds of aerial objects floating is a big deal. But the fact that they don't know who they all belong to also creates a problem. Now, I suspect what will come from this is they'll probably start registering all flights of any type of device that goes in at that height. Like you can normally launch, I think, some of these balloons without having registration. So I suspect what they'll probably start doing is registering them all, and or maybe even requiring them to have some sort of tracking device on them. They didn't say that, but that's just my opinion. that would give them an idea of being able to identify what's there, and then know the things that they could see but they can't identify as being someone else's, and take action upon them. But apparently it's a bigger problem than we really thought, and it's continuing to go on, and they're continuing to discuss it in our government and trying to figure out and get to the root cause and who's actually behind this, besides the big one from Xi that we already took down.
Yeah, what was it? Who said that? Stephen McSteve says, I prefer my nothing burger with ketchup and mayonnaise. Many people do believe it's a, a nothing burger. Some also believe that the first one was real, that the rest were something else, that, that this thing, or that the use of it was completely different than what they thought. So that this was some sort of weather thing, but it was being dual used to, say, LiDAR the bases. The thing is around the same time as this, there was a different satellite that was scanning with lasers Hawaii. And now there are many that are sure, and experts that are sure, that they were scanning and basically rendering the Hawaiian Islands, possibly for hypersonic missile use, but some even said drones. I'm the one who suggested drones first, and then some experts did back me up on that. But then other experts said that no, it wouldn't be drones. It would be hypersonic missiles, that they would essentially plot the plan in and be able to send them there. There are different plans that all of these countries have. There's always contingency plans. There's invasion plans drawn up for us to invade China, for us to invade Russia, for us to invade Mongolia. They make contingency plans for everything. Not saying that that's going to happen, but there are these plans that are worked out by think tanks. China has one that involves taking over Taiwan, Japan, Hawaii, and Guam as the first steps. And if you look at what they're doing, it kind of lines up with what they're building. They're building more Spratly Islands. They're even developing a new ship that can make Spratly Islands faster, that can dig up and trench the bottom of the ocean and pile up the land until they can make bases out of it, and then basically create land wherever they want. It's pretty crazy stuff. But as far as the satellite and the balloons, most people just go, yeah, whatever. Somebody said, what was it? I used to think balloons were fun, but now I don't. And that was after Matthew Shaw says, I used to think those nuke pranks were funny, but now I don't. LOL. So that was pretty good. Chain. Yeah. Everything used to be funny until it wasn't. It's all fun and games until you get your eye poked out or your country's grid goes down. Deflating the EMP danger to America's power grids. Dex, do you want to go over this?
This is a great article just talking about specifically the threat of EMP, and talking about the potentials that we have with our grid, specifically what the weaknesses are, and then also actually the fact that, and this was kind of insightful, that the current administration had recently spent $13 billion to invest in the energy grid. And hopefully that investment includes things in addition to just cyber, but also putting in EMP mitigation. So, we've talked often about how if our grid gets hit, or if we get hit with an EMP, it's basically game over for the U.S. or any country that gets hit with one, because you're going to get sent back to the Stone Ages. The time it takes to come back can be, anywhere from months to years, definitely in the year category when it comes to some of the major infrastructure components of our grid. And in some areas that are more modern and some areas that have already been beefed up might only be down for, being measured in weeks, not months or years. It just depends. But definitely something that this audience and ourselves are all well aware of, but it is a good sign, though, to see a $13 billion investment in the grid. But again, I hope we see more of that go towards making the grid redundant and making sure it can be brought back up quickly if we do get hit with an EMP attack. And for those of you that don't know, when an EMP goes off, similar to a CME, the ionosphere is energized, and that all of the wire that is in your house, in the wire that is on the poles and the transformer lines, those act like giant antennas. They're inducting all that energy, and it causes a massive surge through anything that's plugged into it. So That's the big worry. And if all of our transformers blow, especially the really big expensive ones that can take 6 to 9 months to build, and we have to import them from other countries that we may not even like, you start adding all of that up, and it becomes a really big critical infrastructure issue if an EMP does go off.
And when before all of the opinions were really slated on the balloons, most people said this is at the exact height that you would need to do an EMP. A satellite like this and even a balloon like this could carry the weight of the right size EMP. So before everybody questioned it, before it was pushed into the ground with so many events and so many different airspaces closing down and so many different balloons, and we saw an octagon. It turned out to be a stop sign, but we closed down the airspace for the entire United States. Before all of that happened, people go, hey, this is actually really concerning. This balloon, which was supposed to be a weather balloon, ended up going over all of our bases at the same time that this was supposed to be over Washington. One thing that does make me think that part of this was real is unrelated. They moved all of their nuclear assets out of the local here in Washington, and I'm trying to remember the base. It's a port with all of these subs and different ships. A naval base. It's not Mercer Island.
It was a dry dock.
It was a dry dock, but what was it? It was I can't remember, and it's local, and I know the city. Either way,
a nuclear sub dry dock. I can't remember the name of it though.
Yeah, if somebody in chat will be able to say it, because we got a lot of locals here. Bremerton, thank you, Skyhouse. It was the Bremerton base in the dry dock, and they got rid of all of the nuclear assets, and they said it was because they said they're moving everything there temporarily because of seismic concerns. They were nuclear powered, so it makes sense. We're worried about earthquakes. First of all, that's even concerning. Even if it's not the balloon related, which was flying over that and flying over all of the bases, even that's concerning because, and by the way, maybe that's after they would have just discovered it, or it would have been recently discovered if it was real, right? And it would be going over a nuclear base. They end up moving all of that out, and they tell the public, oh, it's because of seismic concerns. Well, that's even scarier. We have the Cascadia subduction zone, a 9.0 guaranteed earthquake that's going to happen on the West Coast and wipe out everybody. And they know it's coming. They absolutely know it's coming. So that's a tsunami, worse than Japan, and a 9.0 earthquake in an area that's built for 6.0 earthquakes. It's going to be devastating. So if they're moving that, they should tell us the truth, whether it was for a potential Cascadia or if it was for this balloon flying over, and that balloon might have been scanning it with the same technology that was scanning Hawaii. Think about the path of it. It scanned all these bases and then ended up over the middle of the country. It's freaky if it is real. And again, we don't know what actually happened with that. It could have been purposeful that they covered so many other events to confuse people. I mean, to think that the government doesn't know how untrustworthy the media is, like they know. There's advanced like 40 chess moves that they do to make people think something, then unthink it, then think it again. I see people believe things that I'm like, they meant you to believe that. They wanted you to believe that. And now it should be like the word of the 20s. We're in the 2020s now. It's a distraction. I see it in every comment section. Doesn't matter what piece of news it is, you'll see it. It's a distraction. And yes, we all do believe that a lot of this is a distraction. But the fact that since every single person is on a different page, every last event is a distraction to one person or another. It's like it's all through the glasses of whatever information that person has sucked up. Then this is a distraction, that's a distraction, this is a distraction. Everything is a distraction now. Even if you don't think it is, your neighbor does, or the person next to you does. It doesn't matter what it is. And it's frustrating because everybody you talk to has a different theory on things, and they won't even listen. We've been brainwashed into thinking like, oh, if that person thinks different than me, I'm tuning out. I have no idea how many subs I lose. They'll be here for 2.5 years. The second that we disagree on a subject, I used to watch him, but he thinks this about that. I mean, I see those comments too. All creators do. It's like, so you left because of one subject that you don't see eye to eye on? That's part of the problem. Okay. And then if you think, oh, well, you have to be so stupid to believe that, think about the things that you believed, and then you found out the truth, and you were that idiot. Everybody's been an idiot at one point or another. We're all human beings. I think that much more useful would be, here is why I think this is. This is why I think it is. Here is my evidence. Let's debate it. That's more useful instead of, oh, I'm never talking to you again. What does that do? What does it do to not talk to your friends or family members because they believe something different? It's just dumb. But EMP is a real threat, and people need to prepare for it. That's why the prepper community is preparing for it. It is one of the biggest agenda things on there, and it's like, no matter who is doing it or who's behind this secret thing, that is one of the main things. It doesn't do physical damage to people for the majority of it, right? I've never experienced an EMP up close, but again, it wouldn't affect the human beings. It would affect the electronics. It would knock out things, and people go, oh, well, why would they destroy their own infrastructure that they spent all this money on? Money they don't care about. They have money in their own bank accounts. They're not going to have to pay out of their own bank accounts to fix the damn thing. It will be our money that will refix all of the cell towers and everything else that goes down. It will be our money and our slave labor that ends up going to it, not theirs. Do you think that the billionaires are, now I have to pay to fix the cell phone towers that their dollars paid to build, right? I don't think they care. Before we move on, top U.S. general predicts much of the world's armies, navies, and air forces will be robotic in 15 years. I do want to remind you, if you do want to protect yourself against this stuff, this is what we do. Make sure to go over and check out EMP Shield. This is a device that can protect your cars, your trucks, your boats, your RVs, your motorcycles, it doesn't matter what it is with a motor or engine, including generators, gas-powered generators, you can protect it with an EMP Shield. This is a device that grounds the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second, and it is able to do that before it is fried. It can do it multiple times. It was tested so many times that they gave up, essentially. It was after like 41 EMP strikes that they stopped testing it, and it is Keystone military tested. It was good enough for the DHS and the DoD to pick up their company, and now they are not only working with agencies like that, but they are also on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. If you want to also go check out some of their references, they were directly referenced in the Department of Homeland Security EMP Resilience Report that also mentioned that all Americans should have 6 months to a year worth of food for some event that nobody knows is coming, right? Or that's never going to happen. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. You can also protect yourself against a solar event with a sunspot bigger than 10 Earths pointed at us right now. It's probably a good time to start thinking about this kind of stuff. It can protect you against a Carrington level event, and it also can protect your house and any other device against lightning. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP to save $50 off per device, and it always stacks on top of their sales. So if they have any kind of holiday or regional sale going on, this always stacks on top. marfooglenews.com/EMP. Thank you. You're also supporting our independent channel and helping us grow. So thank you guys so much. And then Top U.S. General predicts that much of the world's armies and navies, air forces, will be robotic in 15 years, if not sooner. So we talked about the new jet that came out that is essentially what was mentioned in Top Gun, where people like Tom Cruise and Top Guns, these flying aces, they won't be needed because they will have these autonomous AI-driven jets and planes and tanks and everything else. And, of course, robots like the dogs that can open doors and take people out with 40 cal. Dex, as far as this goes, this is a pretty big change in how things would work. Within 15 years, that seems really soon, but apparently that's how fast it's going.
It'll be faster than that. This was Milley talking, and he was basically talking about how we've seen rapid or significant changes in the way conflict is done based on the new types of weaponry. But now everything with technology is moving to this autonomous mode, and it's happening so quickly, and the technological space actually advances so fast that I believe it'll probably be less than 15 years. That's my opinion, but that's, this is where the story's coming from. It's him. It was a conversation he was having on with I think the Eurasian group podcast.
And this is willy-nilly Millie. We'll give you a call if we're going to surprise attack you, Millie. So I believe him, because guess what? Guess who profits from that? The military-industrial complex will be able to build these robots. It costs money to have a soldier. It probably makes them money to be able to build these robots, right? It says character of war changes frequently. It changes every time you have a new weapon and so on, Millie said in the podcast. It says, but fundamentally, it only changes once in a while. Today, we are undergoing the most significant and most fundamental change in the character of war, and it's really this time being driven by technology. What's scary is all of our jets. These are jets that can take out a city block, if not a city, depending on what's loaded on them. These will be computer controlled. There's a reason why people like Elon Musk have said that they fear AI more than they do nukes. Think about AI armed with nukes. That's what's freaky. Think about completely computer controlled jets that have nukes on them. This is Skynet type stuff. It's not. There should have been some sort of, and there's no oversight on this stuff. And then US F-22s land in the Philippines for the first time, furthering partnership. We all saw this coming. You guys saw this coming. We talked about all of the different meetings that were happening in the Philippines, and the Philippines strategically is a really, really important area as far as defending against China, or even going to conflict with China, and also trying to hold them back from taking Taiwan, or at least that is what is said. You've heard my opinion over on Marfoogle News on the short shareable video. But Dex, do you want to give some of your insight on this with the Philippines? And this is exactly what we all thought was going to happen.
So we've recently invested in the Philippines and brokered the deal to expand our bases. And this is one of many, and we've already covered the last few, where they started to report more incursions and incidences around the Spratlys. They've started advancing the bases and expanding the presence of U.S. military in their bases, et cetera. So F-22s landing there for the first time, kind of a monumental deal. But the important thing to understand is that in the Spratlys, or in the area there, what's called the South China Sea, where Xi contests is their land because they built these islands. This is literally right up against the Philippines. Philippines is to the east of that area. So having access, or greater access, and building up our own military there is an obvious threat to Xi. And they weren't happy when they've actually numerous times now have said so themselves. They've come out and said, hey, this is not good. We don't like it. You shouldn't be doing this. But we're doing it. So I think that's our position, to one of many positions that we have to strengthen our position across the Pacific, but more so in that region. So we're probably going to continue to see more of this. As this continues to expand, I think this is probably one of the biggest locations where we're going to see a lot of pushback from Xi and the advancement of our military in that region.
And Xi is met with Vlad. Xi also has plans to meet with, I believe, 6 or 7 other leaders in the next 4 months. So we'll see what's happening here, and we'll follow it as it goes. And then Chinese media is claiming an Instagram post shows the U.S. military stealing aid for earthquake victims in Syria. It's a bogus conspiracy theory, right? And again, it says, back in February, Chinese state media was boasting on how Beijing had stepped up to provide Turkey with much-needed humanitarian aid in the aftermath of the deadly February 6th earthquake that took the lives of tens of thousands in Turkey, which that, in fact, was one of the most horrible earthquakes in history. in that area, including what an English language arm of the Communist Party described as 20 metric tons of urgently needed cotton tents. But by March, state-run news service China Radio International was shocked that Chinese aid ended up in Turkey and instead claimed that an anti-conspiracy theory that aid had been stolen from a separate humanitarian movement from Syria. This claim has since been picked up by the Iranian government and pro-Russia influencers, reaching hundreds of thousands of people on Twitter, Facebook, and Telegram. According to the state-run China Radio International, not even the most cynical anti-imperialist would have thought that the U.S. military would seize the relief supplies sent by China to the earthquake zone in Syria. The article posted in Turkish points readers to a photo posted by the U.S. Army on its Instagram page earlier this month that shows an American soldier in Turkey carrying humanitarian aid, identified by social media users as tents with the G's writing on it on the packaging. So this is the photo here, and this is supposedly that, right? And they say that this is the false claims about the U.S. soldiers stealing aid for the victims of it. I don't think we'll truly know exactly what happened here, but they say that this is the debunk of it, right? And it says the Americans are not only taking the oil from the area, one user wrote, but also humanitarian aid. That post has now been seen more than 1.4 million times, according to Twitter's metrics, and it's a language copied and pasted by others. Iran's Press TV, without providing a source, likewise posted a photo of a U.S. soldier carrying the Chinese aid and asserted that it had now been reported that the tents were from a humanitarian convoy that China had sent to Syria. So they have a bigger picture here, right? It says on Facebook, the false story of alleged U.S. criminality was posted to pro-China group with more than 127,000 followers and shared by a Moscow-based animal rights activist who posted an image of the soldier lifted from Weibo, the Chinese social media network that appears have first spread the story, beginning, it seems, as a nationalist mockery of the U.S. for distributing Chinese humanitarian aid, before shifting to a tale of theft and international intrigue. So one question I have is why would they, if they did do something like, why would they take their chintzy tents? Like that, I guess this just doesn't make sense. This isn't like they're going to go resell it to, what are these things worth? Maybe some of the equipment might be valuable in some way. But again, why would they do that? That just doesn't make sense. And, most of the good soldiers would probably have a problem with that if they were stealing it from aid. But there's all sorts of ganda out there going back and forth, making both sides look bad. Dex, why would they take tents away from victims? Like, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. We're gonna spend more money to move inexpensive stuff that was donated from one country and give it to a different country because we spend so much money on everyone else that we can't afford to send some tents or anything else. I mean, come on. But I think the main thing this points is how that influential and social media army, if you want to call it, that G and their allies have, is strong at being able to create messages like this and get it picked up and get people believing it. And so obviously, this is one of the many examples. This happens all the time, and it happens often, and we don't even know.
And again, if you don't know what he's talking about with the Army, they are the only country that have over 1 million on the payroll for online soldiers. These guys, their entire purpose is it's a person that will literally, thumb something up or share something. They're like bots, but these are 1 million strong real people that, keep up their platforms. They, it's a lot harder for somebody to get rid of this person because it is a real person. They can verify that they're a human being. They have, they send in licenses when they get botted. To have 1 million on the payroll, think about that. Any story they want to make viral, they can make viral. So anything they want to have 1 million hearts on it, if they want to ratio something, they can do that. And that makes a difference. If you see a story and you see every single person around you saying, this is true, this is verified, and you see like 1 million people commenting and saying, yes, 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 this is real. I knew this. I saw this. I see comments from what I think is these, and they say, I saw this with my own eyes. It was messed up. When you see 40 people say that, you believe it. And I think it's this army. They can make anything go viral. And then China says it's ready to work with the U.S. for the UKR peace. Ask U.S. side. Chinese officials claim that the country is willing to work with the U.S. for peace in UKR. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin spoke to journalists Tuesday about the Russian invasion of UKR and his country's willingness to work internationally to solve the conflict. Asked if China would be willing to work with the U.S. on peace plans, Wenbin said that the ball is in the U.S.'s court. China is ready to work with the international community to continue to play a constructive part in the political settlement of the UKR crisis. Wenbin told the press, perhaps you should ask the U.S. side as well if they're willing to make peace talks happen. So it's all a bunch of circus. All this is, it's a bunch of back and forth ganda and falsehoods being thrown back and forth. But China is definitely trying to play the part of the world's savior here, and they're trying to take notes from the U.S. They're saying that they've wrote up this peace plan, and now they're basically saying that it's the U.S. that's not doing it, not us. And if you know the involvement with the U.S. and UKR, then I don't know how you would, you'd probably see that. You see that angle as well. Dex, when they said this, they're putting out there that basically it's the U.S. that is keeping this thing going.
Hey, this is the ultimate finger point, and that's what the mission is with Xi's meeting with Vlad, which we'll be talking about, and this representative is talking about as well. They're saying, hey, everybody wants peace except the U.S., and so that we're the ones that are continuing the conflict. That's the position. I think you're going to hear that carry on for weeks, months, if not years.
Yeah, I'll just keep going in circles. And then let's see here. President Xi tells Russia's Putin that China intends to play a constructive role in UKR peace negotiations. It says that China intends to play a constructive role in resolving Russia's ongoing invasion of UKR. According to its foreign ministry, on Monday, the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs put out a statement regarding the ongoing dialogue between Chinese President Xi Jinping, who was visiting Russia this week, and Russian President Vladimir Putin. According to the statement, Xi emphasized the importance of peace and rationality to resolve the UKR conflict, and told Putin that China will remain objective in the dispute. The two sides had an in-depth exchange of views on the UKR issue. President Xi stressed that on the UKR issue, voices for peace and rationality are building. Most countries support easing tensions, stand for peace talks, and are against adding fuel to the fire. A statement read, a review of history shows that conflicts, in the end, have to be settled through dialogue and negotiation. It said that Xi also rejected the Cold War mentality and unilateral sanctions and elaborated on the importance of dialogue between the countries. China believes that the more difficulties there are, the greater the need to keep space for peace. The more acute the problem is, the more important it is not to give up efforts of dialogue. China will continue to play a constructive role in promoting the political settlement of the UKR issue. So, and by the way, China just wants to look like it's being the good guy and the reasonable country. Meanwhile, they're going to help them do whatever they want. Being real, though, you know that most all of us, everyone is really, nobody really knows what's going on here. Everybody is confused on what is pushing this. We know there's something wrong. We just can't put our thumb on it. We know that there's all sorts of shady things going on, like the pipe, like all of these other glitches and technical events, and the New York Stock Exchange going down, all of these weird plane incidents, gas lines getting shut down, pipelines getting blown up, all sorts of events are going on, and there's always a story. There's always a cover. I say, look, big picture still, I believe World War is coming. It's not the end of the world because people associate World War III with the end of the world. I think it also associates with death, right? And actually dying. And you know, just as I know, that every single human being, for some reason, up until the moment we die, we think that we are somehow going to cheat death. Nobody likes thinking about their own death, period. And unless you are very, very close to it, you have not accepted it. Nobody wants to die, period. Some, more noble than others, and they don't want to die because they don't want to leave a hole where they were and the people around them to be hurt. But most of us don't want to die. And if you really think about World War III and everybody thinks it's the end of the world, I think that that's why people push back on it so much, and that they believe that, that's why people don't want it to happen. It is not going to be the end of the world. It is not going to be the whole world turns into a nuke zone. It's going to be the start of something new. Dex, what do you think about this? And then if you want to go into, in a second, we'll talk about Blinken and the top U.S. general.
Well, think about it. Xi wants to be the greatest superpower. And to do that, you have to have the strongest military. You have to have the largest economy. You have to dominate manufacturing. And then you have to be a diplomat or a negotiator of peace, so to speak, across the globe. So these are the actions they're taking to sort of jockey themselves into this leadership position. It's all part of a big plan that they have to grow out of the realm that they've been in and into this new light that they want, which is to be bigger and better than the U.S.
Which they won't be, if we have anything to say about it. And before we go on to Blinken, just a reminder, if you guys have not checked out, Energy just came out with the new Air Force research laboratory designed and helped actually make the Energy Flex 1500 Tactical. The Flex Tactical now has a integrated battery heater, so you can use it in extreme cold environments, and it's got a reinforced 1,500-pound latches. That is a huge deal as far as if you own the original, then the clips are great, but this makes it almost invincible. These things are already made like tanks, and now that they've made this Flex Tactical, if you are somebody who owns the tactical version of everything, then this one is definitely the one to go for. It is only in pre-order right now, but with our link, they have never done this before, and I don't know if they will do it again, but they're stacking our discount on top of theirs. So on top of the special discount you get with us, you are getting the $750 discount on that. So make sure to go over and check that out. That is if you pre-order. You'll have to wait a few months. Lithium solar generators like this, and especially the good ones, you will have to wait. The X2, on the other hand, if you want one that's all built in one, the battery's built in, and this thing is said to last 6,000 charge cycles. So to put that in perspective, if you use this every single day from full to empty for 16 years straight, this would still have 80% of its capacity. All lithium degrades over time. This new lithium iron phosphate technology lasts the longest. So that's if you used it every day. Again, this is something that you could have for decades to come, and to have replacement power is a huge deal. And it will possibly save lives here, and I guarantee it will save people some convenience during storms or anything else. Make sure to check out the Flex 1500 and the Tactical. Those are expandable. They're modular. They can be changed to whatever kind of system you want. And again, you can change it into an entirely different system. Also, the accessories, like the low wattage accessories like stoves and things like this that virtually take no power at all, those are all on sale as well. There's huge sales, huge percentages off. So make sure to go check it out. marfugglenews.com/energy, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle to get the discount. All right, and then you're not only helping support us, we are on our own. Like I said in the beginning, we don't have a multi-channel network. We don't have anybody backing us up. You guys are the reason we are still here. So thank you guys so much. Again, thank you, and thank you. Dex, let's go into the Blinken Slam G thing is pretty, it's just, it's not even, I don't even think it's really worth breath, but it is something I covered in the cell phone video. Do you want to give your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, it's the opposite side of the spectrum. Basically, they're pointing the finger back, saying, "Hey, don't point it at us. Point it, gee, if you really want peace, you need to be talking to Zelensky, not pointing, to everyone else, and creating these peace plans that nobody's going to agree to, or at least only one half would agree to, which is allowing Vlad to retain all the territories that he has taken, and UKR is not going to agree to that. They don't want their land taken from them. They don't want to necessarily give that up. That's what they're fighting for. So it is it is certainly, and the other side of it is he's saying that it's called his quote unquote diplomatic cover. I think it's more along the lines of, back to what we described as Xi is trying to look, more powerful and more strategic and valuable in the bigger global geopolitical spectrum than ever before. But I don't know how much that's really going to work here. It seems like there's a lot of issues at play here, and you can have a peace plan, but if the peace plan doesn't actually solve problems on both sides, I don't think you can really walk in and claim it to be a plan. If it's one-sided, it's not really a plan. You can advertise it that way all you want.
Yeah, exactly. To put it in short terms, it's a really good way to say it. And then top U.S. general says that it will be really hard and cost a lot of blood and treasure for Ukraine to kick out every single Russian invader. This is again from that same speech from Milley. It's like when it's certain people talking, I just don't. As many of you know, General Mark Milley around the J6 stuff, before and after, there was all this talk about us nuking China. And Milley actually admitted to not only calling his counterpart in the Chinese military, but also told them that if the crazy president at the time was going to nuke China, that he would give them the heads up and said, don't worry, if there's any kind of surprise attack, I will call you first. I said that was treason. Some other people said, what was the words? That's like a traitor right there. But what is the other word for it when you are treasonous? What's the other word, Dex, when you tell information? I'm trying to think of they called it something.
I thought it was treasonous, but yes, I sedition or something else.
Sedition, yeah, something. Somebody said it wasn't treasonous; it was something else. Because it was technically, I think this guy should be in jail. I'm not even kidding, but that's just my opinion. What's yours? How do you call our adversary, our literal adversary, and say, "Yeah, don't worry, I won't push the button, and I will call you first before anybody else does"? That's a COUP. Okay, that's something at the very top level, right below the president. The top of the military is basically saying, I won't do what the president says, and I will call you first. And he's still in power. I don't understand that. Whether you are on this side of the party or that party, doesn't matter who is in that presidential seat, calling our adversary and telling them. So as far as like the stuff that he says and the comments on this, I don't take him seriously. And, but I just, everything that's been out of his mouth for the last 2 months, well, especially the last 10 months since this conflict started, has been just absolute, like it was just written Ganda. He also said that he doesn't, I met with UKR, but I don't tell them to go left or to go right. That was a week after he literally made comments to them saying, you guys need to leave Bakhmut and go focus on the south. He literally told them, go right and go this way instead of that way because you're going to lose. He's been giving them, telling them what to do and then saying, oh, I don't tell them what to do. We just train them. It's stupid. But basically says the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and that's why it's important, he is that, Mark Milley said he believes that neither Russia nor UKR will likely be able to achieve their objectives through military power. The highest-ranking U.S. military officer recently told the Eurasia Group Foundation in a podcast that he believes diplomats from various countries will be the ones to eventually put an end to the fighting. So why do we hear all of these different angles saying, oh, they're going to work it out through dialogue? Is something about to just happen? And by the way, it's just weird. Everybody's talking about a dialogue or a diplomatic situation to this and an end to it. I find it strange that some folks in the very high up elite circles have said, "Oh, this will end this year, and it will just be over." What was if this was a big distraction? What was it a distraction from? What did they pass through? I still think they need a World War III to change over and to quickly bring in all of these other rules. Or did CV do a good enough job for them to get that thing started? I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. And then UKR receives 8 Leopard and 2 battle tanks and support vehicles from Norway. So it says the Norwegian Armed Forces, the NAF, announced the delivery of 8 Leopard 2 tanks and 4 support vehicles to UKR, which also puts them in the crosshairs. The agency published a series of photos showing the delivery of military equipment from Norway to UKR. The ministry reminded that on 26th of January, Norway decided to join the international transfer of tanks to UKR. Soon after that, it was decided that Norway would transfer 8 Leopard 2 tanks and up to 4 support vehicles to UKR. The tanks are already delivered, and personnel training is underway in Poland. So I think there's a big reason why Poland has these anti-tank measures going up. All of the training, so all of the help that all of NATO has been giving, all of the training has been going on either in Germany or in Poland. And these 2 places are the central to all of these other countries in NATO. At least that's what it seems to me. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I can see that Poland is being utilized by all of these other countries. And a lot of things are flowing through it, and they're using that space. So you would think that would make it a huge target for Russia. And Russia's probably pretty pissed off about that. Obviously, there's a lot of... And then the president going there secretly in a last-minute impromptu or secretive, took a 10-hour train ride. That's still shady to me that our president took a commercial jet and a regular train and took, I forget, I think they said he took like a regular bus or something, but he did all of this and then spoke at Warsaw in Poland, and it was all made up to, in UKR colors. You would think it was in UKR, and said all this. Mind you, on that trip, they did a whole lot of talking behind closed doors and secretive talking because nobody even knew he was there until he was gone, except for Russia. They told Russia that they were there. So what the hell really happened there? As some pointed out, Rail Force One, which they dubbed the train after he was on it, some said, in fact, Dex, I think you suggested it first, did they possibly move something on that train, bring in something that wouldn't be tracked because it's traveling, alongside that train or with that train, because you can't, it was classified with the president or something.
The ultimate cover.
Ultimate cover, right. Because there was, the president and his staff are going to take up 2 or 3 cars, security, all of that. Well, what were the rest of the cars? Could they have extra cars behind that were towing in something shady that they brought in? Don't know.
There was 8 cars total, I believe. 8
cars, yeah. What were the other 5? And Russia flies these bombers near Japan as the Japanese prime minister was actually visiting UKR. This, of course, happens all the time. Russia flies these jets all over. It's always a show of strength. We always cover it. Any one of these events could end up turning into something later on. But if you look at the big picture, Japan is definitely getting their nose into a lot more stuff than they used to. Obviously, before, they have been a self-defense country since World War II. They have basically said, we're going to stay out of it, and if somebody doesn't attack us, we will not attack them. And now they're changing that. inherently changing their constitution to where they can actually invade a country if they wanted to. After this whole change, they can go and invade a country. They can go and fight alongside somebody if they believe that that war is going to benefit them down the road. So if Taiwan is taken, they believe that they will be next. And Japan has made that clear. They do believe China will take Taiwan. That will heavily affect their financial situation and their economy as far as the control that they'll have over those areas. And they believe that they are coming after them next. Officials there in Japan basically think that after Taiwan, Japan is target numero dos. So I wonder more about less about the jets or the planes that were flying near their island as a show of strength, and more about what is actually happening with Japanese prime ministers and the ministers. What are they talking about behind closed doors? It makes me think. Dex, do you have any comments on this?
It's to be expected in regards to, like you said, show of strength, but it's also an area that we know that we've seen Japan change and shift their investment towards their military and towards beyond just defense. And I think that these types of activities that happen to them, whether it be a potential incursion like this, or even worse, what NK does to them, which is shoot missiles over their country, all of those things just fuel the fire, so to speak, for Japan.
Yep, indeed. Ray the Way says, Marf, it doesn't make sense because you're trying to make logic of, in my opinion, a spiritual war. We're falling as a nation. There's been plenty of times where God allows corrupt leaders to self-sabotage. The Israelites pray. I'm going to comment on that in a second, Ray the Way. Winton Dupree, SMOD 2024. Thank you. I appreciate your support. It's Vlad Diad. Please take a look at Asteroid 2023 DZ. It's very close. I will check that out. I believe we covered that, but I'm not sure if that's the same one. But I will look at it. There was another one the other day that we covered that supposedly may hit us at some point. And then the far future digital money system will be called Diem, like Carpe Diem, where a small few will get a small percentage of each transaction every day all over the world. And then Michael Fisher says, actual name is called polycrisis, where multiple crises happen all at once, like food shortages, flooding, fires, derailments, war, economy, weather. Michael Fisher, yeah, we definitely have polycrisis right now. And then David Ward, thank you. I appreciate the super sticker. SFT, thank you for the crosses there. And then Carol, thank you as well. Tomorrow is 3/22. It is Skull and Bones Day, as well as National Donald Name Day. The name meaning of Donald is world leader or ruler. So I'm not big into the numbers, but I do know that one is a very important one. And it's just so crazy that today, this whole thing with our former president happened, where he was supposedly going to be going to jail. There was media all over the courthouse and everything else. They said, oh, why aren't there any protesters out there? Well, one, I think it's because Secret Service, they actually blocked off that street, and the only people there were probably media. But also the shots I saw, you could see Secret Service with these dividers, and I think they blocked off that area. Second, who wants to go and protest if they think that they might be put in jail for years? And that's what's so messed up about this is now after this, it was almost like they made a point to where folks on a certain side aren't going to want to protest because they might end up in prison like Guantanamo Bay for 2 or 3 years without a phone call. They can hold them indefinitely if they want to under the new laws and the different things that they passed since 2001. Those things allow them to take you and not even give you a trial. That's what's so insane about that. The whole thing about the Guantanamo Bay and being a T, right? Guess what they did? They just set it up. So they say the biggest threat is domestic. Guess what they can do under that? Dex, can you think of what they could do if they declare that one of the biggest threats is actually here in the United States? That means anybody acts out. If anybody steps out of line, they can literally just snatch them up.
It certainly falls into that category of identification and targeting, or creating pre-targets of who people are. We see this on social, we see this in lots of other forms, but it takes it to a new level when people are willing to go out and do stuff. And I think it also it makes it easy for the government to then start identifying who's involved in what. And as we've seen with others that have spent many years now without even being processed, what they've gone through, it's kind of crazy. And I think on some hands it seems like it's almost programmed, and that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, people are afraid to talk. People are afraid to say anything, otherwise they get deleted or jailed. It's pretty nuts. Meanwhile, if the other side protests, it's like, oh well, freedom of speech, guys. We all love it. Don't you guys love it? And then that was one of the things the reporters kept asking. Well, what do you think about him asking people to protest? Well, that's not a bad thing. Remember, if any other time it wasn't bad, right? With all of the other groups that were doing it, it was encouraged. And heck, hey, they've got feelings. Their feelings are hurt. They need to speak out. That's America. But if somebody else does it, it's the T attack, right? And then if you guys don't have food, if you have less than a week of food in your house, then I would highly recommend making sure and getting that fixed. We gave you a really great way to do that affordably. This is My Patriot Supply. So essentially you can get a lot of freeze-dried food that can last 25 plus years. It's all packaged to basically be very simple. And it is, again, packed in Mylar bags, will last over 2 decades. And it is, again, then sealed then into a bucket where you can take that and put it wherever you need to, your bug out spot, or bury it, or whatever you want to do with it. That's up to you. But again, this is also something that you can hedge up against hyperinflation or any other kind of disaster. It doesn't have to be an SHTF. If you remember during CV, when all of the shelves were empty, a lot of the folks that watched us, they had full pantries of food, and they didn't, it wasn't a big concern. This is good for any kind of disaster, not just the end of the world. So make sure to go check it out. They have all sorts of great options over there. You don't have to get a 3-month plan, but that is where you get $200 off right now, which is, again, the largest discount they've ever done. Before this, they did an Alexa Pure Pro as a giveaway with it. And then before that, they were at the $200. Most prefer just getting a straight up discount. So if you want to get that biggest discount ever, go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. It not only helps you prepare, it also gives you a huge discount, and you are helping our channel at the same time. Thank you again, marfooglenews.com/prep. And then up Abrams tank. U.S. Speeds up Abrams tank delivery to UKR Warzone. Of course, the deadlines are moving up. The Pentagon is speeding up its delivery of Abrams tanks to UKR, opting to send a refurbished older model that can be ready faster, with the aim of getting the 70-ton battle powerhouse to the war zone by the fall, the Pentagon said on early Tuesday. The original plan was to send UKR 31 of the newer M1A2 Abrams, which could have taken a year or two to build and ship. But officials said that the decision was made to send the older M1A1 version, which can be taken from Army stocks. Officials said M1A1 also will be easier for UKR forces to learn and use and maintain as they fight the invading forces. So just curious, anybody that's been in one of these, this version, the older version of the M1A1, how advanced are these? Do you need months of training to drive these things, or are they pretty simple? Just curious. I've never been in one, and it probably never will be. But anyone who's been in one of the Abrams tanks, how hard are these? Are these very computerized in the inside? Are they, they're not like old school where you had levers and things doing the tracks. How advanced are these? Do they have tracking systems and computer screens all over? I could Google it, but again, I would love to hear from you guys. How long do you think it would take you to actually drive it? If somebody were to jump into a base and take one, could they drive it? Or is it something like an airplane where you have to have advanced training and turn on 40 things before you even start. And Tommy Tier, hey, what's going on? Dan P is here. Dark Star. That's so weird that the name Dark Star, that plane came out, and I just saw something about something called Dark Star. Forget what we covered that had the Dark Star thing, but somebody, isn't that like the end of the world type of thing? Remember, God literally turned Nebuchadnezzar into a wild beast and had him lose his mind for 7 years. Won't be surprised if that's what happened to us for our immortality as a nation, says Ray the Way. Yeah, well, immorality? Is that did I read that wrong? Yeah, the wages of sin is death. Sergeant Zdenko. Thank you, Ray the Way. I appreciate that. Janky Corrupt World, September 23rd, 2017. Sign is important. World is very soon. Only way to buy food will be facial recognition. Seeking truth. Well, that already happens in India. It's called the Aadhaar card. AADHAR. Cheers, Marfia, Dex, and Mod. Monk me. It's nice to see you. Ilea, thank you so much for modding. Again, thank you. Major says, I just say no, I do not comply. Jesus is Lord says, study Chinese. My mom said that like 10 or 15 years ago. Said, you better learn Spanish and Chinese. She said that when I was a kid too. I didn't get what she was saying. Now I do. And then Putin has aggressively tried to make China his ally because Russia is running out of ammo in UKR. This is what a White House official says, so this is the angle they want to push. That's why I don't exactly believe it. I heard of spaces where a lot of these very intelligent people, and again, intelligent doesn't necessarily mean street smart, because you can have intelligent people get totally tricked by, a street, magician or some trickery, right? Sometimes the smartest people do the stupidest thing because they're thinking logically or they're thinking a certain way. A lot of the folks in the spaces were saying, well, yeah, we're driving Russia into China's hands. They have been partners for a long time. This is all predestined. This is all pre-planned out. This has taken years. They were working together for years and years before this. And everything recently, including right before all of this started, them saying that they're no limits partners, it's all strategic. Everything is happening for a reason right now. And unfortunately, the victims are not only that country's people, but the whole world's people are going to be the victims here pretty soon. Dex, as far as what the White House is saying, it says that President Putin needs President Xi because he's running out of ammo. I don't know if I believe that, but I can't really believe anything that comes out about this anymore. But what do you think?
How many times are they going to say this? I mean, we've only reported he's running out of ammo since last year. Yet they have factories that are pumping out plenty of ammo. We're the ones that are actually running low, at least by our own reports. And I would think that if we're reporting about ourselves, even that would probably be pumped up to be better than it is. So when we say it's bad, it might even be worse. So I don't know. We won't know the truth here, but it just seems to be the status quo for, they're running out of ammo. They're running out of this. They're running out of that.
Well, is this White House official kind of covering for China? Like, what do you mean? They're in on it. Like, are they stupid? They're running out of ammo. They've been partners since before they started this thing. They totally know what's going on. And they're saying that Russia is like pleading with them. They're already hooked up. Like now they're aggressively trying to get them as an ally. They've been allies. This is old news, man. And they know what they're doing. And China's allies with a bunch of people in our own government, as somebody put it, a government. Yeah, they're allies with a bunch of people here. They've got people all over. So I don't know what's going on here, but again, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by tonight. I have a feeling tomorrow they say not only is 322, But they say that some of this stuff might have been delayed tomorrow. We heard information that it was delayed until next week with the whole T-Man thing. As far as a former president possibly getting arrested, mugshotted, and all that, we don't know exactly what's going to happen here. But I will tell you what, even if he does get, even if they say it's totally what they want to get on him, it doesn't stop him from running. A lot of people have thought that. That's the myth that's going around. I think it has to be a felony for him not to be able to run again. Even if he gets the charge of whatever they're trying to get him with, I don't think that it stops him. So why do this whole fiasco? Well, it's definitely it's a circus, and it's been a circus. Is that a distraction circus, though? A lot of people think so at this point. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. I don't think there is a right or correct choice, no matter what side you're on. I think they're all in on something that we're not. They're up here, we're down here, and they go in circles, making us think it's a, cowboys and Indians thing or a cops and robbers thing when they're all robbers. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Seeking Truth, thank you. Oki Khan, thank you. Lord Andrew, thank you. Willow, thank you. Mods, make sure to thank your mods by going over to marfooglenews.com/friends and subscribing. You can easily hit that red button on our page and it will end up subscribing. Boom, 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 boom. So make sure to go do so. Make sure to check out Aaliyah's channel. She's the one with the beautiful tinfoil hat and the rainbow. Wages World is covering those current solar events. Trinity does amazing. She puts hours into her editing. Make sure to go check out her videos. RGL Harris, Rip Curl, Lisa R. Hall, wonderful woman, one of the sweetest women in the world. Again, thank you for everybody that has still been continuing to send prayers for her daughter, Stacy. Jammer1, Gem, CJ Blaze. Her and her family are absolutely amazing. Chance Paladin, a great writer. Go check him out on Amazon. And then Bones. Make sure to go check him out. He is a badass, and he is incredibly funny. He's just a really good guy in general. Make sure to go say hi. Jammer1, amazing dude. Very, very sweet guy, and we're lucky to have him here on the team. So thank you, Jammer. Gem, beautiful artist. Make sure to go check out her Linktree. And thank you, Dex. Thank you for your service tonight. I appreciate that. Let's go over the web only.
Lots going on. Head over to marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show or open up that show notes link. It's in the description on YouTube and Rumble. It'll take you right here. Hey, we have a continuing coverage of what's going on in UKR. So if you're looking for more of those updates, they're all there. Including who's pointing the fingers at what. A new drone made out of cardboard. Yeah, I said that, cardboard, if you want to know what's going on there. Of course, the indictment stuff is all here. Everything that's been published. The latest is that it might come out tomorrow, but he won't have to appear until next week. So that's what they're currently saying. We'll see what comes of that. And then lots of other things going on, including Dr. F and the mayor of DC, Muriel Bowser, went door to door and got rejected. If you haven't seen that, it's kind of funny. I want to go take a look. And much more. So all of that and a lot more, it's right there. This is the rest of the story. It's everything else that we didn't get to cover in the show, or some of it's topics that we don't normally cover in the show, or that might be too heated for people and create too many arguments because they're two-sided. So go check it out. It's all right there on the website, marfooglenews.com. We put it together for you every night. And again, on YouTube and Rumble, just open up the description, click on the show notes link. It'll take you right here.
And make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/friends and marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. If you have video of those 7 asteroid pieces coming into California, let us know. Check around 9:30 p.m. You can just, of course, DuckDuckGo the event and go see what time it happened, and then check your cameras and send it in to us. Upload it to YouTube and then send it. We'll play it on here on the show. I'm sure one of you got that. So please do. I would love to see it from all different angles. Thank you. Or if you have any other crazy videos, a sighting, send it in. Thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you, Ray the Way. Says the right-left paradigm in tandem with the latter agencies concocting their plans was genius. They literally made all patriots and true Americans docile. And last thing, remember, God literally turned Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, I did get that one. And then Winton Dupree. Have you talked about Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson, Younger Dryas theory of cyclic cataclysmic destruction and rebirth? I have talked about them both in general, about some of the things when it popped up. The Graham Hancock stuff is nuts. The cyclical cataclysmic destruction, we have talked about that as well, and I would love to get somebody on the show about some of that. But that's even, like suspicious observers and others that have said that these things quite possibly happen in cycles. And there is a lot of stuff there. So I think people should go down that rabbit hole. But we will, again, right now, I believe, by the way, the other night, rapture, revelation, and prophecy were all trending on Twitter. It was nuts. Everybody was talking about rapture. And what was triggering that? A lot of the things going on right now are basically, there's a lot of people right now that are secretly thinking, oh man, this is end times. There's always been, and even on Tim Pool, he had a guy go on and talk about how, that we're in end times. And Tim Pool goes, well, they've been saying that for every decade since the beginning of time. But what he pointed out, he said, well, every decade they haven't had patents on things like they have now, like the mark of the beast and all of these other things that he says now we can physically prove that there's things happening that are literally the end time signs. I mean, it's nuts. Do you believe it is end times? Let me know in the comments down below. Love you guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Thank you, Ray the Way, for being the top supporter tonight. It's going to be a short shoutro tonight. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you, Dex. Love you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Got the shirt on the logo. Buy one, get one, price tag on the low. And the rolling in my stolen Honda photo. And please don't take my photo. Hey, I'm sitting out here like a cholo. They make fun of my gross clothes rolling solo. Got my top button rolling solo because of the bottom of the shirt and they broke yo. On the Ross tip, got the shirt on the logo. Buy one, get one, price tag on the low. And the rolling in my stolen Honda photo. And please don't take my photo. Hey, I got the raid away. Everybody gonna go fade away. I say, I'm gonna love you today. I love you tomorrow the way. Did I really want to? I go on. I love everyone, one of you. Hey, I with the California fireballs. I say, I Captain and Mr. Way. I with the Okie Khan, Teresa Young. Everybody having fun. Virginia, old son. Everybody have a good night. I bring it tonight. Hey, I'm with the Sergeants and Echo, Android and the Architect. I got James Garcia and the RJL, Harris and the Ryan and the Emmett Bell. I got now with the Robert Nell. Thanks on the Marvin and End Time Signs. End of the world and we doing fine. Linda Sullivan and the Mr. Mind. Hey, and we might just find everybody is gonna get in their time. A rapture, take all the good ones and leave JB. Hey, I'm sitting out here like a